Thank you all very much for coming. Give us a cheer if you've been to Always Be Comedy before. Cheer if you've never been to Always Be Comedy before. I mean, there are two women at the back who I know full well have never been to Always Be Comedy before because they came up to James and myself and they asked to be served. Which is fine because it happens to me a lot. But the fact that we kept insisting that we don't work behind the bar and that the bar isn't operational, and they... Madam, I think for the rest of your life, you still don't believe that we couldn't have served you a drink. She saw me, I had a drink, and she went, well, where did you get that from? At one point I said, I don't know what else you want me to say. But anyway, welcome all. Thank you all very much for coming. You all look great. Sheik, how are you? Have you driven? Please, may I have a lift home? Fucking get in there! The gig had sold out, and we were having to say to people, no, I'm afraid it's sold out. But when Sheik, who does sometimes give me a lift home, when he emailed, magically there was a chair available. It's incredible. Look, thank you all very much for coming. We're very grateful. Great to see you all. Also, on a personal level, it's been the school holidays, and as they went back today, and as the parents to a 6 and a 9-year-old. You've no idea what an honour and a privilege it is to not be with them right now. So, extra heartfelt thanks. Right, we'll bring on our guest for a very special live episode of the podcast. He knows what Tim and I think of him. One of our absolute favourite dudes ever. Let's give a very special welcome to the great James Acaster.
Choice, Tim. Very nice from Tim there.
That was lovely.
Very nice choice. I've had a few walk-on songs in my time, but none so jaunty. It's nice to have a jaunty one. Whenever
that was lovely.
Comedy o'clock when that's playing.
That's a lovely. Max War would have been proud of that walk-on. That was...
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I didn't really know. I started doing that, and that started the applause, the clapping along, and then that's always fun, but it just means the actual applause you got, that's gone now. And you're now being brought on stage to... Which makes me feel like I'm meant to do something crazy, insane.
No, it was...
Someone thought we were fucking barmen.
You know what?
What I regret about that is I regret what we did was wrong.
Yeah.
As comedians.
Yeah.
Because we just went, we don't work here. This doesn't work. This is not a bar that works. We don't work here. And then obviously they were like, well, where'd you get that from? All this stuff. And we were like, we don't know what to tell you. We don't work here. But we were meant to be funny. We should have just gone, yep, what do you want?
Yeah.
And they would have gone, oh, I had 2 beers. And we'd have gone, okay, cool. And there's one pump that doesn't work. And we'd have gone, cool. Got a disgusting glass from under there that's covered in cobwebs. That's not working. That's off at the minute. And we could have kept it going. We got 5 cans of liquid death in the fridge. That's it. Sell that to them for actual money. And then go on stage and then from here go, by the way, we're not barmen. That would have been funny. But instead...
That's what we should have done.
We tried to talk to them like people, and we got mugged off. And now we're both in foul moods, and don't say you're not. You are in a foul mood.
I was. It really upset me. It was like.
We all sensed it at the beginning, and a lot of you regulars were like, "We've never seen him in a foul mood before."
It was like trying to reason with a lunatic. It was.
It was.
And we promise.
And you don't know it because you've never been here before. But in James Gill's vocabulary, he's called you cunts. Because he doesn't insult anyone. So if James Gill calls you a lunatic, you have no idea how bad that is. He's fuming. He's fuming.
I've never said, yeah, he's right. I've never used the expression reasoning with a lunatic. For me, that was, he's lost the fucking plot, this lad.
That was bad.
That was bad.
Usually you just tell everyone they're the greatest.
Yeah.
If James Gill just calls you cool, that's rude. That's fine. If you come off stage at a comedy show and Gill goes, that was good, you're like, oh man, I've got to quit. I'm going to quit.
I want to know, because if they'd gone downstairs and asked for 2 cans of liquid death, I'm going to really fucking kick myself.
Yeah.
Ladies, what drink did you go for downstairs?
Wine. Yeah, we didn't have any of that back there. So if you had said wine, I guess we could have gone into a really long thing of trying to find the wine.
Yeah. 10 minutes of
ask them what type. We could have listed a really long list of like what we've got.
Yeah.
Even though we know we've got jack shit and we can't do anything.
We've got mango, liquid death and nothing else.
Yeah. We should have done that.
We should have. I regret it already.
We should have done it.
Right, James.
Where did you get a laptop from? Didn't know that was there until
come from
now.
nowhere. Right, ladies, are we happy? You've got the wine. Did she just say we're comfortable? Do you know what? I feel happier that you're comfortable. I did.
Yeah, good.
At one point, I thought you were going to chin me. So the fact that I'm in a better mood now.
Just get him out your head. Just get him out your
Well,
head.
where's that come from?
Just get...
James, that came from downstairs. I'll tell you what cheered me up, James.
Yeah.
Now you don't say if you like it or not, but I love it. You reference Matthew McConaughey's Oscar speech on Hecklers Welcome. It's a riff. It's a great riff, but you don't say that you love it. That, if I'm honest, I love so much. That is one of my go-to YouTube clips to put me in a... You know what? To put me in a great mood, we should pause the show for 2 minutes. I watch it, and I'm like, it's like Superman flying close to the sun. I'm re-energized. I'm back in the room. In fact, even just thinking about McConaughey's acceptance speech. But are you not a fan of the speech?
I think it makes him sound like, in your words, a lunatic. I think he's insane. If you don't know the Matthew McConaughey speech when he won the Oscar, he won it for Dallas Buyers Club, and he I don't think spends any of his speech sparing a thought to all the people over the years who've died of AIDS and HIV, which is not what that film's about. Instead,
I feel really bad now.
No, you love it.
I do.
So instead, McConaughey says that when he was a little kid, a friend of the family asked him what he wants to be. Who his hero is. Who's your hero? Is what he asked little McConaughey.
He goes, who's your hero?
Who's your hero? And McConaughey, little baby McConaughey, little kid, said, myself in 10 years' time. And then...
Which I get that.
You get that?
I totally get that, because what he means is he will never attain that. He's always going to be searching. He's going to try reach him in 10 years, which is impossible. And so that is the motivation.
Bear in mind, James, he has a choice of everyone ever. As his hero.
I mean...
And he chose himself in 10 years.
So imagine everyone on the planet, including James, watching it going, fuck it out, and then just me alone. What a speech! This is a special moment.
Loving it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. You're
My
right.
hero's myself 10 years ago. He was cool.
I once, right, bear with me on this. I once interviewed Jack Black, right? And I said to him,
You met him?
It was a phoner. Lovely guy. Oh, it was during lockdown. I would leave voice notes to you doing the impression of Jack Black. Remember that?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Thank you. It's not a very good impression. But Jack Black, it's not. But he would get a voice note apropos of nothing. Me going, Acaster!
Yeah.
Jet Black here. Right, when you speak Jet Black, he either speaks really slowly or really manically. And when he speaks slowly, you think he's stopped, and you'd ask your next question, and he would go, I'm still talking. But anyway, I asked him a question, and it was, is there something from your back catalogue that no one ever brings up, but you secretly like, I stand by this, and straight away it was like, it's polka king.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because obviously if you meet Jack Black, it's immediately Kung Fu Panda, School of Rock, and so on. And he's like, for me, with you, has there been a bit from the back catalogue or a thing that never got off the ground, a routine where you're like, in my heart, totally stand by that bit, and I can't believe it never quite got the love it deserved?
I don't know. Like from I think everything from back in the day, I kind of like look back and go, I think that all got the appropriate amount of love. whether it did well or not, you know. Like, you know, I think I love it when people bring up listening to. I did when I was starting out. I'd go on Josh Widdicombe's XFM show every week and tell a true story, and Josh called it Classic Scrapes, and it was like my first thing I ever did that was like out there in the broadcasted, and that was good. So that's nice when people bring that up, because I'm like, oh, they were there at the beginning and they like listened to those. But even at the time, I was like, oh, people were into those. I wasn't doing them, and then nothing was happening, and I was like, one day, people like, that was the first time when people were like, looking forward to that segment and stuff. So I think there's like stuff you do more recently that you kind of go, oh, I wish more people would bring that up or listen to it, but I don't have the perspective on it yet, so I just doubt it and think it must have been shit. So like, it's not. I think in the future I'll be able to look back and go like, yeah, no, that should have got a bit more. But nah, I think also it's like, yeah, I'm not Jack Black. Jack Black's back catalogue, yeah, actors have got so many of those, and with comedians you are just like, nah, that weren't funny. You know, I don't think you go, nah, they were all wrong every single night. How come they don't bring it up anymore?
Can you just say a bit about Classic Scrapes? Because that was the, you know, Josh did a lovely thing there in that, you know.
They didn't pay me.
Okay, Josh, it wasn't as lovely a thing as I thought he was doing, yeah. But that did a great job, because that proved a bit of a springboard. It certainly opened you up to a lot more people, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you had people coming to shows off the back of.
Yeah, and I was really appreciative. Yeah. It was the first time where, like, you know, and I got like a book deal out of it, and I got my first TV appearances were all off the back of that, and yeah, so definitely, yeah, it was great. And I do owe him a lot, but also he owes me money. Being on his show every week for nothing. So.
They were happy times though, weren't they? That was
happy times.
That was nice vibes there.
I was glad to be doing anything at that point, but you know, it didn't go unnoted that I wasn't getting paid.
Now,
splitting a pizza with Nish afterwards wasn't really Josh had thrown us. It's not the same.
Those to walk past. Where'd you get that pizza from? There you go. You may not be Jack Black, but you were in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I said to you at the time that you steal that movie. Have you all seen James in Ghostbusters?
I don't steal the movie.
You do?
Let's not go nuts.
I've gone nuts.
Garaka steals that movie.
Who does?
Garaka, the baddie with the horns. Although I hate him.
What was that? That must have been an awesome experience, though. You know.
Yeah, it was great. It was amazing. Why?
As someone who I'm old enough, I went to the original Ghostbusters film. My granddad took me to the cinema to go see that film, and so to see a friend cast in a Ghostbusters movie, one of the main parts, integral part of the film. Part of me wonders if I've got a feeling I was more excited. I was more excited than you were, but please share with us what that was like to be in a huge Hollywood film.
First of all, thank you. That's very nice.
You're welcome.
Chris McCaulson rang me the other day and said about he's watching it with his daughter, and that, like, you know, recognised a voice and was like, who is that? I know that voice, but obviously it can't be anyone that I know from the stand-up comedy circuit. And then realised it was me and thought, oh, that's nice. James is in it. And he's like, he's got a little scene in Ghostbusters. And then I kept on being in it, and he was like, what the fuck? And he was like, doesn't make any sense. I went, it makes as much sense as you winning a dance competition. What are you on about? But yeah, but that's what I was like when I got sent the script. I'd auditioned for it and thought, well, that's the one scene I'll be doing, because it basically reads like it's Q, but for the Ghostbusters. So I was like, well, Q's in one scene, so I'll be doing that one scene, fine. And then I got sent the script, and it just kept on being in it. I was like, well, I'm not going to tell them this is a bad idea, but it's not the most genius move they've ever had in the franchise, but. And then, yeah, the whole thing is the most competition winner I've ever felt about anything I've done in my career. Like, because everything else I've done, it's been, you've achieved it by increments.
Sure.
So you don't really, occasionally I'll try and make myself appreciate what is happening to me. And, you know, I'm about to go on stage here, whatever, that's good, da, da, da. But you have been like, it's just the venue sizes have been going up and up and up each year. You've been working really hard. So you don't really have this thing of like, I can't believe this has happened to me. It's like, yeah, I kind of fucking work my nuts off. Ghostbusters, I was like, I have not earned this. There's no way I've earned this. There are proper actors just waiting by the phone, dedicating their life to the art. And someone's just gone, fuck it, that guy. That guy, we like his food podcast. We presume he can act. He played a mouse once in something. And like, and I just got it. And it was months. They were filming it in Reading, which I also couldn't believe my luck, because I thought, well, the downside of this, I'm going to have to be away from my girlfriend and our cats for ages. And then it was like, no, it's going to be in Reading. It was brilliant. Ghostbusters are in Reading now. And yeah, it was just like, you know, every day you'd turn up and try and look like you were meant to be there, because I feel like my instinct is it would really piss people off if I was walking around going, I can't believe this. You know, like, so I had to be like, yeah, this is good. You know, like I'm an actor, just like all you guys are. But I was just thinking every day, like, oh, I can't believe, like, I'm about to put like the actual jumpsuit. I'm about to put the flight suit on, and I'm about to, like, you know, do a scene with Dan Aykroyd, or you walk down the corridor and there's the Slimer thing was just there, and you were just going past Slimer in the corridors. So all of that was just absolutely crazy, and yeah, and for the whole thing you're just like, well, this is just fun, and also none of it. You are like, when I usually do stuff, I've written it, you know, I've been thinking about every single bit of it, and this was like, none of this is on me. And my bits are what I'm doing. That is it. I just have to look like I belong in this film. And that was nice to not have the pressure on me as well at the same time. And then you get to go to the premiere. You're sitting on the back row with Bill Murray. And you're like, this is funny, man.
Now, is there more acting stuff in the offing?
No. I auditioned for something that was really funny, because loads of us auditioned for it. They didn't know what to do with the role, clearly. It was the new Tom Cruise and Alejandro Inarritu film. And so you get the email, they want you to audition for this. And you're like, Inarritu likes Frozen Empire. He's a fan of my work as Lars Pinfield, the parabiologist. And I was like, that's exciting. And then, obviously, you know, I kind of like, try and do a humble brag to Nish about it. They got me in for this. They think I'm an actor. I'm not. And Nish was like, I'm auditioning for that. So fine. Okay. Well, and he was like, have you seen what the character's called? I was like, no. And I can't remember what the character's called, but it was not. It was an Indian name. So. And Nish was like, so if you do get it over me, you're never going to hear the end of this. You're... Okay, this is bad. And he went, I don't think they know what they're doing with the part. I think they're just trying out everyone and all this. And it said like an American accent. I can't do accents. I told my agents, tell them I can't do accents. That'll get me out of it. And they replied and went, no, you can just come in and do it in English accent. We don't care. And I turn up, and in the waiting room is Tom Rosenthal. He's there. Someone else is already in there doing all the lines, and Rosenthal's there. I'm like, you all right, Tom? He goes, James, what the hell? Hey! I didn't know you was gonna be here! What? And I was like, yeah, I was like, are you just doing the accent all the time? And he went, yeah, they say we gotta do an American accent. You doing it in the accent? What are you doing? I was like, no, I told him I can't do accents, I'm just doing it in English. Are you fucking shitting me? I've been doing this accent all goddamn week. I'm about to go in there and do this fucking accent, and you're telling me you can't even say it could do it in English? That's fucking bullshit. Who else is auditioning for this? They don't know what they want. They don't know what they want. I was like, Nish. He's like, Nish! You, me, and Nish, they don't know what the fuck they want. And then as he's saying they don't know what the fuck they want, Phil Wang walks down the stairs. And like, properly like, oh, hi guys. He's the most chill man in the world as well. So it's even funnier. Hey, have you read the script? I haven't read the script yet. And I went in and did the audition. When I came out, Dr. Brown was there. So we all had a selfie together and sent it to Nish, the four of us, just to let him know. This is what the thing is. Riz Ahmed got it in the end. Riz Ahmed, the Oscar-nominated actor, was in the running, and they still went, we better see James and Nish and that lazy guy, Phil Wang. And for a laugh, let's put the Friday night dinner guy through the ringer. Let's absolutely give him the worst day of his life for all of our own amusement.
That is outstanding. But on with Ghostbusters, you made a couple of pals, didn't you? We had Finn Wolfhard down here as an audience member. While you were filming, he's a absolute sweetheart, isn't he?
Lovely man. Yeah, excellent.
So what happened was Finn sat in the corner over there. It was like mixed bill night.
Well, I'll tell them what happened. You took a photo of him and made out like he'd started stand-up and put it on the internet.
Yeah.
You basically deliberately didn't make it clear that he wasn't doing stand-up. And then the internet lit up thinking Finn Wolfhard's doing stand-up and Always Be Comedy is the place to be. Well, look who that worked out for. Then I got a text from Finn that I never thought I'd receive. Do you know James Gill? Yeah, well, he's fucked me.
Just to explain, what happened was...
You got a photo with him with Mark Lamar.
That's it. That was my next line. So Bill Bailey was on the lineup, and Mark Lamar had come because he's pals with Bill. And I think it was more Tim and I felt. Sorry for bringing Tim into this. Tim and I felt if we don't get a corridor pick with Finn Wolfhard and Mark Lamar in it, we're letting everybody down.
Is that what you thought?
Yeah.
I don't think. I would say there's no demographic who likes both those people.
Exactly.
So I don't know who you thought you were letting down.
That's why we thought it was so funny, because anyway.
I can see what you mean. It's like getting a photo of a zebra at a golf course or something.
Yeah. I should ask you this at the break, but I'll ask you it now. When Finn said, you know, James, what, in reference to what? Just like in general?
I went, what's he done? I said, yes, I do know James Gill. And I said, why did you ask me that? He said, but this is on the internet now. I think people think I do stand-up.
Oh, no.
Oh, I was like, yeah, well, you went to an Always Be Comedy gig, mate. If anything, that's weirder.
What happened?
Weirder behaviour.
He sat in the chair over there, and obviously no one saw him all night.
He was all right about it. You're not in trouble.
No, good. That's good.
I'm just hamming it up for my amusement.
No, it's good. But as the audience left, so bye everyone, thanks very much for coming, big spill night, and then everyone left that way. And once you leave, you've got to like go with the flow. And not everyone watches Stranger Things, but the people at that night who had watched Stranger Things, as they walked out, in all my years, you've never seen so many double takes in your life. So as they're walking out, oh, good, good fun. What the fuck? But they couldn't stop because the traffic was one way. So they'd have gone home thinking.
Well, it's the reverse of seeing me in Ghostbusters. Exactly what it is. What the fuck are you doing here? You shouldn't be in this.
In this age of TV, it's well known that TV's in trouble. A lot of shows aren't getting made. You yourself, and someone I look up to enormously. Are you in a position are you still able to have those meetings and try and get shows away? Because it is, if you don't, it's bleak out there, isn't it? It's tough.
Occasionally you get like a pilot or something, and the most recent one, I'm really gutted about this because there was a point where I went on Richard Iowadi's question team on Dave, and you make your own round for everyone, so you come up with a thing. And my thing was called People Person, and I had 3 people on stage who were members of the public, and the panel had to guess things about these people. And it was actually something that was just a throwaway thing for an episode of that show, but turned out to be really fun and quite chaotic. And I think I commented to one of the, I was like, I'll do that as a series. And then a few years later, they're like, let's do that. Let's do it. Let's try and pitch it, because it's like, it's done well on lots of social media, whatever. So I was like, okay, great. And then the whole thing, when you're trying to develop it, you start thinking maybe this is not for me, or maybe it's too complicated. And everyone was lovely, the whole team were brilliant, and you got kind of worries about it. And you're going, because it went from having 4 members of the public and 4 panelists to having 20 members of the public on stage behind me as well, who were also playing the game, and those 4 members of the public who were guessing about, and those people, and the studio audience was there. And then there's things that they had to vote with to say what they thought the right answer was, but there were these cubes that lit up, so they had to press them in the right way, and then to light up, and it was all getting a bit it's going to be like a complicated game show. And then we went to Glasgow to film it, and it was 3 hours the filming, and I'd say everything went wrong that could have gone wrong, and I absolutely loved it. And at one point made a comment. I just kind of said, I think what they should do, I said it to the audience, is just take these 3 hours, cut them up into 6 half hours in real time, and put it out as a series. That's just a serialized 1 episode, but that is 6 episodes, and you get to follow it along. So I've never seen anyone do that before, and this has been so fucking nuts. And then the commissioner at Channel 4, who, no secret at the minute, they're not swimming in cash, comes up to me afterwards and goes, are you serious about that? And I was like, yeah, if you want to do that, I don't care that I'm only going to get paid for a pilot. Because it was great. It was there was a bit where we had to bring a wrestler out who was the boyfriend of one of the members of the public. So people have to guess, whose boyfriend is this? And his entrance is called Hustle Malone. And his entrance was meant to be, the whole thing is meant to look like my living room. I've got everyone in my house because I'm a people person. And he kind of he rings the doorbell, I open the door, and he meant to walk in and go, oh, James, nice gaff, mate. And then he picks up a vase, which is sugar glass or whatever it's called, and meant to smash it over his face. But he walks, he goes, nice gaff, and he grips the vase too hard at the top, so it just disintegrates. And then he just walks in, and everyone's really confused in the audience. And I've got to go, it's Hustle Malone, everyone. I start chatting to him, and then in my ear, they're like, well, obviously, we want to pick that up again and do it again. So I was like, but he's in full wrestler mode of yeah, one of these is my partner. And I was like, Hustle Malone. We've got to reset that and do it again. And then he just drops beside her and goes, and not smash anything this time, or do you want me to smash anything? And again, this is the second story Phil Wang's in, but Phil Wang's on the panel just tears streaming, just laughing so hard at Hustle Malone breaking character. And he goes out very civilised way, and the audience now got to see this again, but they know it's all bullshit. And also the glass is all over the floor and they haven't got time to sweep it up. So I'm now like stepping on all this like broken glass. And then the doorbell rings. I'm like, nice gaff, James. Gets it, fully smashes it on his face, does it proper. And as I'm talking to him in the chat that follows, I just see that he's gashed his head really deep. And it's just blood is starting to like trickle down his nose. And I'll go, Hustle Malone, have you cut your head open? He goes, I don't know, have I? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have. There's a lot of blood coming out of your face. Instantly they do it again. And then now it's like first aid teams and everyone are coming and look at him. And this has taken ages. But while that's happening, the panel start playing the game already and going like, who looks the most concerned about their boyfriend? Because it's one of these people. And I was like, this is better than the show we had planned. Larry Dean's cube kept fucking up. I really loved it. Like, so many things went wrong, including some things that are problematic and we would have to edit out. But, like, you know, I really want to, like, that's the only one that I was really gutted about. And I would like to, if Channel 4 listen to this, I'd like to have a meeting with them where we do try and devise how to recreate that, or at least get the footage off that poor production company and rip them off.
James, you're curating your ideal comedy gig. Oh, actually, I better press record just in case. Will this bit?
You record this on your phone?
Yeah, as like this is like third layer of backup.
Wow.
Do you know how did this get made?
The podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were fucking so funny on that. But I love that. I love that podcast. That's probably my favourite podcast. Is how did this get made?
Whoa.
And calling the judges, there's a tie. No, that's my favourite. But it's happened a couple of times where the recording hasn't worked, and some dude in the crowd has recorded it on their phone, and they've had to put that out as the episode.
Oh wow!
So
even though the person is a piece of shit.
Yeah, they've done the wrong thing.
They've got to approach that guy.
Yeah.
Hey, you know how you were pirating our podcast, and we're going to put it out yourself somehow, and probably try and somehow benefit from our hard work.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can we use that?
That email that we sent, the thing that we explicitly said, do not do. Did any of you do that? You did. Thank fuck. Right. Just to explain why we're recording it. Right, James, you're curating your fancy comedy gig. Do you have any pre-gig rituals?
I do now. I didn't used to. I used to, before I go on, just be all over I used to, basically, my pre-gig ritual was to pretend like I was a really confident person, to the point where I'd convince myself, yeah, I'm not scared, and then go on. And now, obviously, I accept that it terrifies me, and I'm very nervous about going on, and I'm worried about what everyone's going to think of me, and all of that stuff. So for my last tour, I was trying to be very mindful about the whole thing and talking on stage about that. That's a fun gig for people. I did a whole list of things that I would read on my phone before I went on. A list of things that I had to remember. I've still got it on my phone. So I'd read this every time. Because I think I didn't maybe once or twice. And I didn't flip out at those gigs. For those of you who don't know, I used to regularly tell the audience they were shit. Quite a lot, to the point where I even did it in this room once, where audiences are always nice, because the roof wasn't coming off. I went, "You're the fucking shittest audience ever." So, I used to regularly do that, and I would regularly come off stage and not be happy with it. I wouldn't come off stage and go, "I was right, fuck them." I'd always come off stage and go, "I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't have done it. I feel really bad about it." And I'd do it again the next night, and then I'd feel bad again. So I really wanted to break that cycle and did a whole tour where I was focused on not doing that. I didn't do it I haven't done it now since, I guess, 2019, which was the last time I did a tour before that. But I haven't, since then, my last tour and all that, didn't tell anyone to go fuck themselves, and that was an achievement, apparently. So, shouldn't be an achievement. That should be what you learn as an open spot. So I wrote a list. So it's top of the list is, it's amazing you get to do this. Remind myself of that before going on. And then second on the list, one day none of this will exist. a second. And then there's a lot. There's too long a list, really, to read the whole list.
But please, because this is a lovely list. May we have a couple more? Because
acknowledge how your body feels, and then I've written honestly. You're about to put your body in a fight or flight situation. That's just a little reminder.
this is great.
They all want you to do well. Remembering that.
So true, that.
They've all got their own shit going on. Really sad that I had to remind myself that. You'd hope I'd know that about you, but genuinely, I think over the years I thought I'm the only one with a life. And all these people are getting in the way of it. It's also, I shouldn't have to remind myself, it's not up to them to make the show good. But that's on here. Written that down. Even the dickheads mean well. That's on there, and I believe that. Me too. Also have to remind myself, this is your job. You're going to work now. To remind myself of that. You're here to improve the show, so there's a personal goal there. But then I can't let it go. I also tell myself, the show is already good. So I have to tell myself that too. It doesn't have to be the greatest show of all time. And then I've added, so originally that was the bullet point for that. It doesn't have to be the greatest show of all time. But then I added, every single night. So it doesn't have to be the greatest show of all time every single night. But for most of them. It might feel like a play, but that's okay. Any stand-up comedian knows those gigs where it just feels like you're doing a play. No one's really laughing, but they're probably enjoying it, but you have no way of knowing. It might be bedlam, but that's okay. I've had gigs like that as well. Just accept that. And this is, again, shouldn't need to tell myself this. The crowd are free to react however they like. So many comics have been through whatever happens to you tonight. That's good. You feel less alone for that one. And when on tour, I'm doing 2 halves. So it's like the first half will feel colder than the second half, so warm them up. So just like reminding myself of that, because often you've had a good second half the night before, you feel fucking great. And then you go on stage the next day and it's like, where the fuck did the audience go? And you forget that's what they're like at the top. So I had to remind myself. Focus on the people who are enjoying it. Perform it like you're filming it, which is basically every time I film it, I just fucking zone the audience out and perform it well. And then I go, yeah, I should have done that for the whole tour. I put be silly with an exclamation mark. That's the only one that's got an exclamation mark there. Be silly! Every gig you don't throw is a win. Sad but true, that is true. Every gig that I don't throw in the bin on the last one was a win. You used to travel for hours for no money to dine your ass in front of 5 people for 10 minutes and sleep on a stranger's sofa. So just reminding myself where I started off. And that maybe this is pretty cool. Yeah, we've come this far now, so I should say, share them all, but this doesn't make me look great. You're loaded and privileged as fuck. And then it says, behave like an adult, respond like an adult, protect the boy. And then the very last one says, also, you don't have to keep on doing this if you don't want to. So that's good at the end. So I'd read that every night before a gig, which is the kind of thing that you share with an audience and it's a laugh, but I know what other comedians are like, and any comedian who does listen to this and gets hold of it is going to be taking the piss out of me on WhatsApp groups with their mates for reading that list before I go on every night, but it's fair enough. It's a bit too earnest, but yeah.
I mean, well, because it's earnest, I'm going to say something that will not surprise you. I think that's a really good list.
Yeah, you'd love it. Yeah, well, I knew you would love it.
I love that list.
As I started reading it, I was like, I'm going to read the whole thing just because I know how much he's going to love it. And I can't resist it.
I'll be going to bed tonight. God, that was a great list.
Yeah.
That's really powerful, though.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
You knew I was going to say that.
Yeah.
I'll be messaging him later. Could you forward me that list? Who would MC the gig?
Okay. I would like to say before I start, these are all genuine choices. I'm not trying to be a smart ass or take the piss. This is genuinely the gig I'd like to see the most. I'm not on the bill. It's the one that I'd like to watch the most. MC is So, do you know Barbara Nice?
Yes.
Comedian from I think Manchester.
Yeah.
Actually, I might be wrong there, but like she's funny. You probably would have seen her. She plays Mary on Phoenix Nights and stuff. She, okay, it's not her. Even though she is a phenomenal MC, and I've seen her MC, and she's absolutely brilliant. But I also saw her at a festival. It was like a festival, and in the daytime, she had trained. I think she'd been given like one day to train up a bunch of kids to do a comedy gig, and there was like something like fucking 30 kids, and she had to get it so they all had like a 2-minute routine, and they put on a show the next day. So she'd had like the day with them, and then it was like she was hosting it, but was like, okay, gonna bring out these kids are amazing, they're so great. Remember, they had one little workshop, so just really make them feel the love and all this. And I was on the next show because it was like the comedy stage, so I was like, I'll go and watch this first. And some of the kids, you could tell she'd been able to spend more time with than others. And so some kids were going on and they had like full routines and they were pretty funny and all this, but they were not my favourite, and they are not going to MC this gig. The MC for this gig is a kid who I think was 8, I think. And he had like, I remember he had curtains and he had a hoodie on, and he was always smiling. He walked on smiling, and he kind of like had a side to side walk on stage, and he stood there and he had his legs really like wide stance legs and his arms really wide, like not touching his body at all. And clearly, Barbara had told him, look, if you lift your arm up like that, they'll cheer. Like, that'll work. So just go on and tell them that story that you told me just now, but after every detail, just lift your arm up. And I promise you they'll all cheer for you because you're a little kid. So he went on, and honestly, I was in tears laughing at this. I was at the back. It was like an amphitheatre thing. I was at the back of the top step. So he goes on, and I remember it. I remember it so well because I told so many people it over the years. This is like 15 years ago I saw this. That kid's like drinking age now. But like, he goes on, and he goes, hello? And then puts his arm like that, and they cheer. Obviously at that point it's fine. You don't know this is going to be a recurring thing. So he just does it. Everyone cheers, gets behind the kid. And he goes, I went to Alton Towers. Who's been there? And puts his arm up. Everyone cheers. And he goes, I went with my dad. Who's ever been to a theme park with their dad? And puts his hand up. Cheer again. And then it says every detail of his day. So it was just like every ride they went on, who's been on that. The bit that absolutely destroyed me, and I think about it all the time. So he at one point, they've left Alton Towers and they've gone for a pub lunch. And he's like, so he does like, who's been for a pub lunch, and does that. And everyone's cheering. I'm already laughing. Loving the whole story, and that he just keeps doing it. And that they have to keep, because if this was an adult, they would have stopped cheering like 3 times in, going, I'm not fucking doing this. Because it's a kid, they have to keep it up all the way every time. But no one else is laughing at it. But I'm like really like convulsing. I can't hack how funny it is. And the bit that I always think about, he goes, I had a steak and kidney pie. Who's had one of them? I think about it all the time. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen anyone do on stage. I had a steak and kidney pie. Who's had one of them? And they all cheered as loud as they did when he said hello and did the thing. And like it was so, and also I remember the detail in the story is that his dad had like, it's like my dad got a Diet Coke, is that a Diet Coke? And then and he went, I got the same as my dad. It was so sweet because he was just like copying his dad's order the whole time at the pub lunch. So you can see how much he looks up to his dad. So there's pathos in there and moving stuff. But I was like, this kid's so funny. It's one of the funniest gigs I've ever seen. And it's the most I've ever seen an audience cheer in terms of like warming up an audience. I just think he would do such a good job warming up the crowd at my dream gig. He'd come out, he'd do that whole story again. The more boring the story, the better, I'd say. Many times over the years, I've considered ripping the kid off. So I think it'd be such a funny routine to do, to tell the most boring story in the world, and after every detail, be like, who's done that? But as an adult, I've tried it. As an adult, they just go, no, we're not doing this every time, forget it. So it's never going to be as funny as when that kid did it. But yeah, I want him to do it, and every time he comes on between people, tell another boring story, get him to cheer every detail. Then that's the best MC I could ever hope for. I think that's proper. The audience are warmed up, like ready to go. Yeah, love it.
Perfect. Who opens the gig?
Okay. So I'm not going to name this comedian. I'm not going to name him.
Okay.
I don't think you necessarily know the person. I don't even know if this person's still going anymore. But I saw them have a very bad gig. It's one of the best things I've ever seen. So it's it was at a comedy festival, not the Edinburgh Festival, but a comedy festival. And to be fair to them, I think it was a work in progress. And it was it was early on for me, and I was going on after them. I'd got to this place early because I'd get the train there, so I thought I'd watch the guy before me. And there was a bit in the show, and again, I think I'm putting this as the opener because it involves some audience participation. So again, I think you're kind of warming up the crowd, and getting them going. And the thing about seeing someone do really badly on stage is that if you're a comedian, that's really funny. If you're in the audience, you don't find, in the moment, you're just like, I want the ground to swallow me up, I hate it, which is a shame. And I would encourage all of you to just enjoy. Because it's the person you're going to go home and tell everyone about. It's your story. And it'll be so funny when you retell it and you'll be like, oh, I wish I'd enjoyed it at the time when that person was humiliating themselves. And as a comic, it is easier to laugh because like you did it last night or whatever. So like you've done it a million times and died a death and it's gone badly. So like you kind of know, okay, there's that empathy of what they're going through. So this is maybe the worst I've ever seen a routine go. It wasn't really a routine. So there's a bit, and again, I think because it's a work in progress, as we're trying stuff out. They were like, okay, I'm going to do some improv, they said. So I'm going to do some improv. And I said, I'm going to show you how not to do a first date. That's what they said. This is how not to do a first date, some improv. And asked a woman on the front row, said, anyone single on the front row? Any ladies single? And like, someone's like, yeah, come up on stage. Come up on stage. So, which is, I know you all, but an audience member having to participate in the deaf is excellent. Dragging down paying customers with him. She gets up, it's like, okay, we're going to be on a first date. And he goes to the crowd, where am I going to be from? I'm a master of accents, where am I going to be from? And they were like, Birmingham. He was like, great. Give me two things. What's my job? What's my job? Give me a job. And they went, Elvis impersonator. There's like 9 people there, by the way. 10 including me, but I've got a good distance. I've got like the whole room between me and everyone else. I was actually stood behind a bar that was functional, but like, I'm that far back. And they say Elvis impersonator. It's like, okay, I'm from Birmingham, I'm an Elvis impersonator. Give me something that would get in the way of the date, that would make the date hard. Like something about me, about my character. And they went, Tourette's. He was like, okay. I'm an Elvis impersonator from Birmingham, I got Tourette's. Let's do it. How do? Fuck. Oh. So he doesn't. He's just looking at her. And the room is silent. But I'm like gripping the bar with like I can't fucking believe it. He did all three at once, just fired them out, didn't build anything. And then he goes, give me another place that I'm from. So he kind of blames the accent. Give me another place that I'm from. And they're like, Bristol? He went, okay, Bristol. All right, my lover, cunt. Oh. Does it again. But changes the swear, but like there's a... And this goes on for, I think, about 20 minutes. Every time asking them for another accent, never changing any of the other details. Always give it someone else. Cardiff. Okay, right, Cardiff, great. Hello there. Shit! Don't step on my blue suede shoes! And it was always either fuck, shit, or cunt. And it was always either, don't step on my blue suede shoes. And I think once he said hound dog or something. But it was pretty much those kind of combination of things. And it was on, and the same lady standing there. And they just kept on going like, oh, Newcastle? Way, man, shit! I was like, please don't let this ever end. It's so good. Just, no. So I would have that, but crucially, you know, it's not going to have gone well for anyone so far. But like, you know, him and that, I think the kid's done better with the cheering, but like, he's now, I want to see that death again. It's the best death I've ever seen. It was so good. That 20 minutes, just like, I'd watch that. That's the opening thing. I wish I was there right now. I can't tell you how much I wish I was there right now again.
What if they rip it at the fancy gig, or do they have to, does it have to be there?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much if they'd ripped it, but because I would have thought this audience are fucking stupid, this is shit. And in the person's defence, it was a work in progress, and they probably hadn't ever done that bit before, and it was already an impossible gig in front of 9 people and all that. So I don't know. It might have evolved into something brilliant, but I'm not interested in what it evolved into. I just want to see it as it was. If they rip it at the gig, yeah, that'll ruin it for me. I would like them to die. I would like them to do badly at the gig like they did on the night. That would be the... And I have to be at the back watching all of this.
That was great. So who's in the middle?
Okay, in the middle is Bunty Dan. Bunty Dan was an open spot when I was an open spot. And I think every comedian has an open spot that they came up with who now is no longer doing it, who they thought was amazing. And this is like face value amazing, not like I said with the other. Like, that kid genuinely brilliant. But like, this is someone I thought was hilarious on the open mic circuit. So Bunty was, I think she was already like, she had like a full-time, proper, serious, grown-up job. I think at the time, sorry for listening to this, Bunty, I've got this wrong, but I think at the time she's about 50, I think, in her 50s. And she kind of had a bit of an anti-comedy set deliberately. Not like the other people I've been saying, but like deliberately, like, again, like telling anecdotes that she'd really make out that stuff she did was really big and brave when it was actually not at all. And obviously that's my sense of humour. That's partly what I do anyway. So I ripped off Bunty Dan, actually. But like, I remember seeing her a gig called Electric Mouse Big Ben, downstairs in a pub, little tiny gig. And I was just in hysterics at her entire... She had a bit where she just... And I won't do it justice because it's not as funny for me. But she did a bit where she would say about being in queues and people stepping in front of her in queues. And she had a very mannered way of talking. She'd go, sometimes when people cut in front of me at the queue, I look at them and I say, excuse me. That was the bit. And I really thought it was so funny. Obviously, everyone else in the room, I think at that bit was going, well, as a punchline. But she just looked back at them really proud of herself, like she had done, like, isn't that good that I say excuse me sometimes, and that's really brave of me. And I thought it was really funny. I don't know, Bunty Dan may have done, like, not even 20 gigs. Like, I don't think she wanted to be a professional comic. She had done a course, kind of just to, I think she said just wanted to see if she could do it. And like, you know, I think I saw her maybe 3 gigs, and once I went to a donkey sanctuary with her. Because Angela Barnes wanted to go to a donkey sanctuary. And Bunty Dan also lived in Brighton and knew Angela, so the 3 of us went. She was like, Angela was like, do you want to come to a donkey sanctuary tomorrow? You're in Brighton for these gigs and you got your day off in the day. And I was like, yeah, who's coming? She's like, me, you and Bunty Dan. I was like, yeah, definitely. And Bunty Dan was packing a picnic. I was like, that's great. Very normal in real life, Bunty Dan. Just, not at all like her stage persona. It was fun. I had a fun day at the donkey sanctuary. But yeah, I just think there's so many comics that I started out with. There was another guy called Kevin Shevlin, who was like a Manchester comic, who was like my age, I think, who I thought was really funny. I was torn between the 2 of them, but then I thought I'd Google him to see what he's up to now. And the website Chortle had an old review of him from back in the day where they said that actually a lot of his routines were pretty out of order. And I was like, I wasn't as socially aware then as I am now, so maybe I liked some bad stuff. But yeah, there's a load of people. I feel very... everyone I was on the open mic circuit with, I got quite very fond memories of, because it was such a nuts time.
Well, there's a guy called Jonathan Bentata. I'm still in touch with him now.
Who?
He was called Jonathan Bentata.
Brilliant.
He was... when I was open mic, he was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
And we're still pals, but he stopped. They had kids. He stopped. But there were some dudes who were legit great, weren't they? And they just stopped.
Oh yeah, great. And like, some of them were like, I think a lot of the people who made it out the open mic circuit were the people who weren't great out the gate, who we all wanted it, and we kind of had something but had to learn how to do it, because you get quite addicted to learning how to do it, and you get used like immediately to like, this is what it feels when it doesn't go well. So you're kind of like used to that, and you're not doing well in the comedy competitions. So you're like, okay, I've been rejected. Yeah, you've had that. Yeah. Whereas a lot of the people who are good out the gate kind of do quit after 5 years, because the first time they hit that plateau, they go, this is fucking bullshit. And then they quit because they're like, well, I thought this was great, but now it's really hard, so I'm not going to do it. Whereas, it's often all the people who are like working quite hard at the start still going, because you kind of, as much as it sucks still to like have rejections or things not go well, you know that you can... Well, you survived it before and you got through, and it was the absolute worst of it, when you were literally, standing on the... I mean, I know we're on the same bit of floor as the audience now, but like, when you were just like, you had no mic, they just put you on in the corner, there were 7 people there, you didn't know what you were doing, like those are the worst ones ever. And so if you were kind of like used to doing bad there, you kind of get a bit more resilient, I don't know.
There was a gig in Croydon. You walked into the pub and you'd say, "Where's the gig?" And that was that was the gig. They handed you a mic and you stood by the bar and did the gig.
Yeah.
I mean, it toughens you up, doesn't it?
I wish I knew at the time. Like, I mean, we all think this about our lives, I guess. But you're like, oh, if I knew then where I'm going to end up, I would have enjoyed that. Because I would have turned up and been like, this is fucking nuts. These are the worst gigs ever. And we're going around, I'm sleeping on that guy's floor later, and you just met him, he's the promoter. I'm pretty sure he's a cokehead. Pretty sure he's got anger issues, so I'm going to sleep on his floor and sneak out in the morning before he wakes up. You know, like, all of that was like, at the time, I just thought, I'm a fucking loser. What the fuck am I doing? I should have gone to university. Why didn't I go to university? All of that stuff. But, like, if at the time I knew that, no, it will be your career one day and you'll be fine, like, I think I would have been like, this is an amazing... Because now I look back at it and just think, what an incredible adventure that was. But then I can't, you know, kid myself and be like, yeah, those are the good days. It's like, no, you were really scared all the time and really worried for your future. But it just means that whenever I bump into anyone who I was on that circuit with, you just like, whether they've quit, they're still going. Even when I see people who I didn't particularly get on with or weren't very nice to me, I am still like, we went through that together. And it was nuts. And like, so it feels like it's special, like, yeah, it does feel like a special moment in your life. So yeah, I want Bunty Dan on. And I can be like, that's that chapter, and that's someone that I could have wished was still going.
What was it? Was it classic scripts, or was it something else? What was the moment where you're like, oh, hang on a minute, I can actually earn a living here? Where where that worry went away, and you thought, oh no, I'm going somewhere.
Well, it was. I mean, definitely. I'm trying to get my timeline in my head now because I don't know if that was when was. I think it was when. Josie Long asked me to be a tour support, and I was like, okay, I can quit my day job and do that.
Amazing.
Just because it was like, you know, I was going to be away for a bunch of months. Actually, no, maybe it was like the Milton Jones. I then supported Milton Jones after that. So I was quite worried because I quit my job. I'd gone on the tour with Josie, and she'd been like, look, there's not much money, but like, we'll be away for 3 months. So I had to quit, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to be financially, like, keep myself afloat. And then I got an agent during that time, so I was like, oh, okay, that might be good, but I know that doesn't equal, you know, a career. It's just like someone who's basically doing your time for you. And and then they were like, we think we can get you a tour support at Milton Jones, so please don't put anything in your diary for next year. I was like, okay, you're going to get it from me? And they were like, I don't know, hopefully. And then January rolled around, and it still wasn't.
Oh my
and I was
gosh.
had a completely free thing, and I had no money. And I was like, I was like, I really, is he gonna have me on tour with him? And they're like, well, he would like to see you first. Come to he's got a warm-up show and come and support him there. And I went there and supported him. And I remember coming back from that and just being like, if I don't get this, I've got to go back to that school I was working at. And the last thing one of the classroom assistants had said to me when I left there was, why are you quitting? Because it was a school for autistic children. And he was like, then no men, well, not no men, but very few men work in this profession. And you're good at this. Why are you leaving? I said, to support a comedian on tour. I'm going to be a stand-up comedian. And so it's like, basically you're going, oh, I'm going to do the most selfish job you could ever imagine. I'm just serving my own ego every night. That's what I've decided to not help these kids for. And he was like, right, who's this comedian? I said, Josie Long. And he was like, are you doing the Apollo on the tour? I went, no. And he went, see you back here in 3 months. So I kind of had, and he was a nice guy. He was just angry with me at the time. He kind of got me the job. I'd started there as a temp and didn't realise that I wasn't going to come back the next day, and he put a good word in for me and got me the thing. So I think he felt a bit let down. And I was like, yeah, so when in the Milton thing, I was like, if I don't get this, I'm going to have to go back to that fucking school, which I love that school. And it was not the worst thing that could happen, but that guy is going to be like, told you. And I was like, and then when I got the thing that said, yeah, he'll let you support him for a year, that was the biggest. That was when it's like, okay, cool. That money will mean I'm okay for a while. I don't have to go back to anything else. I can continue to do it. Yeah, that was the big one.
Awesome.
And it got extended all the time because Milton kept getting on more stuff, and I was like, yeah, just keep on going on Mock the Week, Milton.
That was the tour show with the sniper gag, wasn't it?
Was it? No, I don't think it was. But he would get that requested a lot. They'd seen it on TV, and I see a lot of comics get like routines requested. It's very funny when one-liner comics get routines requested because the only bit the audience member remembers is the punchline. So they go, do, and then I shot Grandma. Okay. Here we go, you're going to laugh your heads off at this. There's 2 lines to it. You've said the most crucial one already. So he'd get that one a lot. That was pretty much most nights of the tour.
That's a great
They were
name.
shouting, "Do," and then I shot Grandma.
Brilliant. Who closes the gig?
My dream headliner would be Josie Long.
Tim, who edits the podcast, just went, thank you very much.
Josie, if you listen to this, the laugh is not because I chose you. It's because I've asked for a bit to be cut out and just segued into this.
Yeah.
I think Josie Long is absolutely my favourite comedian ever. I have never enjoyed watching a comedian as much as I'd enjoy watching her. I think she's so funny and endlessly innovative and inventive, and the way she articulates herself and expresses herself and can do a work in progress that is better than most comedians' finished shows, is inspiring and incredible. She's the reason that I wanted to become a stand-up. I saw her do a stand-up show in Northampton that was unlike anything I'd ever seen. Northampton, we were getting mainly the comics who came to Northampton were just, taking the piss out of the front row, doing some pretty sus material and then going home. And then I was getting into watching comedians Ross Noble or more alternative comics on YouTube, or I get their DVDs or whatever. And then Josie was doing something even completely more different than that, and talking about stuff that I thought, I don't know how she's making this funny and so relatable, and it seemed to be coming from the way that I maybe even aspired to see the world and experience the world. And so I became a comic because I saw that show. And then I became a professional comic because she phoned me up and said, do you want to support me on tour? Which felt really unreal and mad, and meant that was, from that day onwards, I didn't have to, work a proper job, as they called it, again. And yeah, I think I last saw her do stand-up in 2021 at the reduced Edinburgh Fringe, and it was a work in progress. And I struggle to watch comics a lot of the time because I get too in my own head about if they're absolutely dying on their ass, I love it. If they're brilliant, I love it. If they're really good, but I feel like the audience aren't completely on side, or I start to overthink the whole gig as an audience member, and I can't relax and enjoy it. And that's not anything about the comic not being good. It's me empathizing too much with what's going on. I'm too invested in it and all this. Josie's one of the few comedians where I just feel like I'm an audience member again. Back when I was, before I did stand-up, I can't see the strings. I can't see how she's doing any of it. I'm getting surprised by all the punchlines, and it makes me want to then go away and write a show and do stand-up comedy. Whereas a lot of the time I watch stand-up and go, we all need to quit. It's just not good for us. That's it.
Has there been incidents that you would love to replicate at this gig?
Oh shit, sorry, I forgot there's other questions. I thought that was my big closer. Do a heartfelt bit about Josie and then go. Yeah. Okay, the bit I'd like to replicate is a comedian that's not on the bill, but I'd like to somehow replicate this, or something that has this feel to it. I'd like to see an audience member who is completely shut off to the gig, just that doesn't want any of it, be completely won over. The best time I've ever seen it, there was a gig at the Wheat Sheaf that was on every Friday or whatever, very tiny rooms, much smaller than this, and if you can imagine, not as showbiz as this. And but it was sold online for full proper ticket price. It was expensive, and it was and all the photos online for this gig were this is the Ritz you're about to. So they'd all walk in there proper gowns and suits, and they'd be like, the fuck. And the headliner every week was Paul Foot. was just starting out. So I'd be there quite a lot. I was doing like get a tenner for one of the short spots. And always stay and watch Paul. Love Paul. So, obviously, again, so funny, so inventive, so daring. And even if you're watching Paul have a bad gig, it's beautiful. And I remember one gig, he had this routine. It's one of his like proper calling cards now. About like every time, I'm going to butcher this, and it's funny when Paul does it, but every time you eat some homemade cake that someone's made, you have to comment that it's moist. Was the and Paul was doing this routine, and it would always, like all the Paul's routines would start off with like a really astute observation, like you could see Lee Evans doing that or someone, or McIntyre, and then with each line it would get further and further from that, just more and more absurd and crazy. And he's got this whole kind of like, the cake is so moist, it's got its own like micro like habitat and environment, and there's like a whole things living on the cake and things thriving on it and stuff. And when it got to that point, the guy in the front for the whole gig had been like shaking his head, and Paul had sometimes pointed to him and going, "You're not enjoying my humour?" And the guy would be like, "No, I'm fucking not, mate. I know there's fucking 20 quid for it," or whatever it was. And he'd carry on. And eventually, like, the guy really lost it. The cake bit was just like, "It's not funny, mate. It's fucking, just do some fucking proper jokes. What the fuck is this?" And like really gave him a dressing down. And Paul, we just went, "Oh, you're not enjoying my humour?" And he said, "I think you would like some of the cake." And the guy was like, "What are you talking about?" It was like, if I gave you a slice of my moist cake, would you agree this is a good comedy show? And the guy was like, "There's nothing there, mate. It's fucking mime cake. You're fucking imagining it. It's not real." He was like, Paul like mimes cutting a slice. The guy's fucking furious. And then he holds it in the palm of his hand, the slice, and he goes, "Please, have a slice of the cake. Join us." Like that. And everyone's like, "God." And he's like, "No, fuck you. I'm not eating that fucking... It's not fucking real. It's not there. I'm not fucking eating the imaginary cake. I fucking grow up. I'm a fucking grown man. I'm not eating that fucking cake." And Paul didn't stop. He would be like, "But it's so moist." "Oh, I fucking ate that cake, mate. Fuck off, fuck you." And then everyone was like at the back, "Eat the cake, mate, eat the cake." "You can fuck off, I'm not fucking eating." Eventually he wears him down, the guy goes, "Oh, fuck," and picks it up. Not there. Picks up a mime size of cake and bites it. And then he holds up the rest of it, like to show him, "You're fucking happy now, I bit it." It's not... Still, nothing's there. Completely bought into the whole thing. And everyone was going, it was euphoric. And then he was smiling. He was like, he just realised, I've said yes to the comedy, and that's funnier. And actually, I feel better now. It was one of the best, like, positive feelings I've had at a gig. So I'd like that again, somehow.
Beautiful. Has there been an incident that must not happen at this gig?
I mean, there's a lot. Most of them have been my fault. I've seen other people. I mean, it's hard because obviously, as we've established, I enjoy watching a lot of things go wrong. So the one comic I've seen get punched, it's brilliant. It was great. He deserved it as well, so it was great. It was really rude to the guy in the front, old man on the front who didn't look as hard as he was. It's an open mic gig as well. Open mic, so that's even better because it's like really everyone's learning lessons and making mistakes. I mean, really, it should. I mean, obviously, especially given the tour I've just done, it is just like I would like none of the comics to reference if it's going bad, because that is the worst. And like, if that guy doing the Elvis impressions and stuff at any point said, "You're not liking this," to the audience, it would have ruined it for me. The fact that he persisted no matter what was what made that so funny. And obviously the amount of gigs that I've ruined people's evenings by being like, you're not liking this, you don't think this is funny, this is shit, you know, you're a shit audience, all that. And I've been in the audience when other comics have done it. And I've just been like, this feels horrible, but I can't be annoyed with the comedian because I'm still, you know, at the time I was like, I'm still making these mistakes. Although I've learned how to stop doing it, so I can't be pissed off at them, but I would feel pissed off. I'll be in the audience being like, you are ruining a night for no reason. Like, I could tell you, as an audience member, why this is going badly. Like, you know, the mic doesn't work very well, the room's weird, you know, you mumbled that setup so we didn't hear it, that's why we didn't laugh. You know, or the joke just isn't good and you need to work on it, sorry, but it's a hard job. You know, but I still would go on and do it. I saw a comic once, we did Edinburgh previews, he went on before me in Darlington. It was the day before the Edinburgh Festival, so we were on our way up there. He went on, it was really hard, he kept telling them it was bad, and this is going bad. When he came off, I said, you shouldn't have done that, and I went off, and within 30 seconds, I got to him, do you not like this? What's going on? Just completely different person. So like, yeah, definitely just like, just for me as well, because I've done it so many times, I've fucked up so many gigs doing it. Like, every time I see it, I'm just, it feels bad being in the audience, but also I remember every time I've done it, I go, oh fuck, if this is how it feels, the amount of times I've done it, you know. And also like, I don't know, I did it once in Harrogate, and that's the only time, looking back, it was funny. But it didn't go well at the time, it went bad, but it was funny to tell them, fuck your tea rooms and all that stuff. But like, it's a funny thing to say to them, but...
The thing is, though, when done right, it can help the gig, can't it?
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that like, you know, I don't know, not even 1 in 10, I don't know, 1 in 30 times, 40, it might go right and turn the gig. And so I was always clinging on to that. When I was an open spot, I saved a few of my bad gigs by doing that. But that's because the open mic circuit is designed to fail. So everyone in the room knows it's a bad situation. When you're walking on in an open mic gig and there's 7 of them and you haven't got a mic and you're on this fucking, you know, sticky carpet in front of them and the lights are fully on in the whole room, yeah. They aren't going, well, you better be funny. They're going, oh, fuck, mate. I hope this isn't too bad for you because we feel really bad for you. So at those open mic gigs, if you go to them, this is shit, isn't it? They laugh because you were acknowledging how bad it is. So that's where I got all of that from. Because I'd just be on stage going like, it would be going badly, and then you'd start to go, this is going really bad, isn't it? And then they'd be like, thank fuck he acknowledged it because this is so fucking awkward. And you'd get some laughs, and then like you go, okay, it works. So like, because every now and again it would continue to work for whatever reason. Maybe because like what you improvised was actually funny, or they were thinking this gig is unplayable, or whatever it is. It would work sometimes, and so you just go to it. But really, you go into it because you feel embarrassed and insecure because you're on stage talking in front of everyone. It's not going well. So yeah, I mean, please, no one does that at the gig. Please.
Well, very last question. How do you unwind after a gig?
What do I do? I mean, I go back to the hotel and I download loads of music. I go on a Bandcamp spree, and I just like especially like, you know, when I was getting into all that music from 2016, I was up until 3 a.m, just going bam, 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 just buying all these albums, and that would be my why. So I can't really watch anything after a gig, but I can download music and go on all the music lists and find like, you know, best albums in this genre, best albums from this year, and I just do that and find new stuff. So that's the way. What I should do is go to bed, and that would be my aim for the next tour. Is let's try going to bed after the gig, so you're not like just pinging around in your hotel room. But yeah, it's very difficult not to. Whether it's been good or bad, it's really difficult not to just go, what if just before I go to bed, I just find one of the best songs I've ever heard. And then I found one of the best songs I've ever heard. That's great.
So even on the Hecklers Welcome Tour, you'd still be...
Oh yeah, I was obsessed with a playlist during that tour. Right. I was building this... I made a playlist for the car one day that was like, as long as the car journey, whatever it was. And then in the car, I was like, this is a fucking good playlist. I was like, a few of the songs should be shuffled around, but whatever. I'm sure that won't eat up 2 years of my life. And then I was just like, throughout the tour, being like, I need something to fill that gap between that country song and that electro song. I need to find like an electro country song, but I have to love it. That's the rules. I'm gonna be up all night. Electro country, best ever electro country song. Okay, gonna find it. So yeah, that was the Hecklers Welcome Tour. Was just that, making this dream playlist that was like. And I'm then my poor tour manager. I'd be like, look, I'll fix this gap in it. Watch this today. And they'd be like, yeah, real good, buddy. That's so good. But like, yeah, I was obsessively doing that for that tour. So luckily that stopped now. But now I've started doing DJ sets. So now all I'm doing is going like, what are good bangers? Just lit by my screen. I should be asleep. But yeah, so now it's all finding bangers all the time.
James, we cannot thank you enough. I will unwind tonight by reading your full pre-gig ritual list, which I'll ask you to forward me. So thank you very much for that.
What?
It's fine. Before we go, a very special round of applause for Always Be Comedy's very own Tim Lewis. Thank you, Tim. Special round of applause to the two women who I think on some level still think that James and I work at the Tommyfield, and this is actually, we've just riffed this off the top of our heads. Special round of applause for those two. Thank you, ladies. We promise we're not bar staff, or are we? And then before we go, a very special talent. We love him enormously. Thanks very much for doing this. The great James Acaster.